This video is brought to you by my awesome Patreon supporters. To help support my work, keep my videos ad-free, and get rewards, follow the link in the description below. You can then select a tier depending on your budget, and every little bit helps. Thank you! Hello everybody, and Sente here, and welcome to day number 5 and 6 of my tournament preparation. So I did something a little bit different for today and yesterday. I was actually studying some pro game records from one of the books that I have called Relentless. It is a really awesome book. You can look at it right here. Extremely insightful, and it has all of the top games from Lee Sedol and Gu Li in their famous 10-game match. Now, if you do want to check that book out, I have links in the description below. You can check it out through that link, and if you want to purchase it, you absolutely can. So I learned something really cool, and this sort of feeds into another lesson that I learned between my studying yesterday and my study today. And that is to always challenge your preconceived notions as to what is correct, what is strong, and what is weak. Because as you improve, those mindsets are going to invariably change. I sort of went through that today. So, as an example, and I'm trying a new thing with the real boards. So if you don't like it, if you do like it, let me know. If you want me to do more of it, I can do more of it. Let me know how you like things on a real board. So I would always, in a situation like this, and I would be playing white, let's say black approaches here. I don't know how I fell into this habit, but I guess I was feeling aggressive, I was feeling good at fighting, so I would always, and I still did until a few days ago, pincer tightly. Thinking that that was sort of the best thing to do because I feel like, oh, I'm developing off of my cornerstone and I'm attacking the black stone. It felt strong to me. But the difference between sort of my thinking and the correct thinking is very subtle, but it's very important. You're actually you're not supposed to do a tight pincer in this situation. And I learned this from this book. There are a few variations you can do, but a tight pincer is actually one of the worst. The reason is that black can simply ignore and play an expansion move that's also threatening the agi on this stone to break it out. White obviously has to try to protect the investment that white made and not get cut to pieces. But that lets black take another big move and an extension, protecting the group and developing the board. Now notice black didn't play somewhere else. He played, the variations shown in the book were, now notice black didn't play anywhere else. He protected their group in this variation, sort of feeding into our lessons from day 2 and day 3 about looking after your groups and how the strength of the groups dictate the flow of the game. Now, if white tries to take a big point here, say white plays here or white plays here, and let's say black can allow black to get Sente again, so they just plays out the normal variation. You actually don't even need these exchanges. Black can actually start his plan after this move. So let's say white tanukis from this position to take another big point. And black follows and gets Sente again. Black can actually live in this corner by playing here, here, black defends, white defends, black descends, white defends, and black plays 14. And black is alive in this corner. So that is an amazing way to get a big lead on this board. White invested a lot of stones to try to kill this black group, but because white tanuki'd once, black was able to live. Now, if white understands this variation and does not take a big point, so let's take it back to here, into here, into here. Black tanukis, white protects, black protects, white continues to protect. Now black can take another giant point here or here. So now we see that white is thick and strong. The Aji's removed from this corner, but it's very slow. All of white's moves were concentrated in this one corner, taking 3, 6, 9, 12, about 16 to 20, about, 16 to 18 points of territory, while black has mapped out a large expanse over the board. And this is generally considered slow for white and not as good. So in that case, what do you do in this opening position? Well, according to the book Relentless, white gets the most profit from a loose pincer, a 3-space pincer, something like this. It's still expanding from the right. However, it's not going so all in and killing this stone. Because it's not going all in on this stone has a little more breathing room, and this stone has a little more breathing room. If white tried to play its original tactic, and this is actually my own variation of sort of simply tanukiing, I think it might be reasonable for white to kick black and perform a splitting attack. And now because white's stone is a little bit further away, it can't be counterattacked as easily. And this would make for a stronger position. Now the best that the book has shown for both sides, black plays here. There's a few different ways that black can respond. Traditionally, black would try to press white down here. White would create a cutting point, take profit. Black would take profit. White would take profit. Black would take profits. White would take profit. And this would continue until white 2-space jumps. Its group is safe now. Now black can counterattack, but white will simply jump up, keeping in line with Tyler's Street Plays lecture from yesterday, taking care of our groups. And white is making the very natural capping move here. So we can see a very normal flow that is minding the safety of both players' groups. And this is generally considered even. However, this, if you keep up with modern Go, this does feel a little bit old, and the book had said that. So another potential variation off of the loose pincer is a counter approach here. Now remember, when you have only one stone to an area, you don't necessarily have to protect it. It's when the stone turns into 2 stones or 3 stones or a big group, that's when it becomes a burden to you. But as long as it's only one stone, you can fight for a better position somewhere else and let your opponent swallow it. In this case, black is going to take a secondary approach at the corner, which is sort of a probe. And it's a more active way of playing. White can choose to attack the stone. And if that's the case, black will sort of change directions, attacking the corner. While white defends the corner, black can take another large point because its group, because this is only one stone, remember, and white still needs to sort of protect the corner from being surrounded and sort of try to remove the odd. Oops, sorry, just a quick change. I just looked at the book. When black plays here, this is the next move for white. It's a more active, this is a move that threatens to split black. Then black defends, and white defends the corner. And that's how that flow would go. However, this does give black Sente to play a more active Moyo building strategy. But you can see the difference between this situation and the tight pincer situation. In the tight pincer situation, white did not have this extra stone, and white did not have the ability to sort of attack a group. So yes, black does seem spread out here, but white stones are also a little bit more spread out, they're more active, and they have more options than this situation, which was how it was before. We can see that this is much less active for white, and there's less real possibilities to attack, and it's covering a little bit less of the board. So generally, this is considered not as good as this situation, which is brought about from the loose pincer. And this book goes on for pages about just this one situation. You can ignore, you can respond. There are even, in the actual pro game, white actually approached directly. Black actually played here to try to set up a devastating pincer on this white stone. In the real game, white actually played here, prompting black to take another corner on the 5-4 point, threatening to make a very active pincer against this white stone. White followed up and black followed up. So there are so many different ways to do the opening. But what I found the most interesting was variations that I thought I was playing well were not actually the correct variations. If your opponent plays here, it's not as good to do a tight pincer, and now we know why. Because once black decides to sacrifice his stone, white is essentially forced to remove all of the agi from this position, giving black 3 free moves on other parts of the board, setting up for a really great board state. Don't forget the 3/3 is still invadable for black. This could very well be the only direct source of territory white has, if black decides to invade. In fact, maybe black even invades right now, but the point is that forcing your opponent to take only one stone can be really great if you get moves elsewhere on the board. Now, if you're in the other situation, think about a loose pincer. According to this book, in this situation, it's a great way to create a more active board state than the tight pincer, because it's a little bit more connected to this cornerstone, and it's not invested so heavily in killing this stone above all else. And I'll just play through some of the variations here. This was the first one that they had. It's a little bit of an older one. It's essentially a very direct, very standard crawl across the board. And they only play away from this situation once this group is okay and alive. And now this move makes it alive, we're all good. Black comes back to counterattack because this wall is strong. White comes up, black defends their group. Remember what we learned in the teaching games with street play. The direction of play is dictated by the strength and weaknesses of your groups. So black is defending his group, and white is defending their group in a more active way. And the second variation that I'll show for you guys is from a loose pincer. Black can actually counter approach the other corner, giving white a choice. Where do you want to defend? If white chooses to create a base for the group, remember direction of play is dictated by the strength and weaknesses of your group, so making a base first. Black can now choose to sacrifice, not sacrifice completely because there is still Aji in this corner, but threaten to link up. White has to protect their own corner, and black gets the next point, but now it's white's Sente to play wherever they want. So those are some variations in the opening, and I really liked learning about this because it really tied everything together. You know, I really saw when they were playing these openings how indeed the strength and weaknesses of the groups are the most important things to consider when you're trying to play active openings where you're approaching in multiple places, or you're sacrificing one stone, or you're taking a big point elsewhere. If you decide to invest more than one stone in a group, you're always minding that stone and that group. I also like how it challenged my preconceived notions of what was right and what was wrong. I always thought the pincer was bad, or the tight pincer was a good move, but I'm learning that it's not. And that's going to help me make a more informed decision in the tournament, and that always helps you when you're learning Go. Never assume that what you know right now is the right thing to do, because as you get better, by definition, that has to change.